passenger's perspective, is the price comparative to the taxis and Uber? How does it rate?
We're pitching it as a cheaper solution in the market. Right. So in terms of pricing, there's simple mathematics behind it. When you're not taking a 25 to 30% commission from the driver, you can basically reduce fares by, let's say, another 10 or 15% against Uber or the rest of the competitors. Right. So once you reduce those fares, you're literally the cheapest option in the market without harming or without taking away any earnings from the driver. So the driver still makes more because you just split up that commission figure into two halves. So it's cheaper, but the driver still doesn't miss out. They're still making more than any other platform. So you can actually get a ride without the app, and that's being the disruptive side to it. And that's intentionally being done. So, for example, you're out at Cooter Pavilion on a Friday night this evening. And you see one of our cars present there with the hop flags on either side, so that's how it's visible. Right. So it has the word hop on it. So you can approach one of our promo staff who are there, around 5 to 6 cars, there'll be one promo staff standing there advertising the solution. Approach them and say, I want to get a ride. They'll just ask for your name, your pick up and drop off location, a contact number, and off you go. That is literally or legally a booking. So you're off you go, grab a ride, and that's it. You don't even need to download the app itself.
Because I believe the new laws is that taxis have a monopoly on hailing. Yeah. And so other services you can't hail them. So how does this? I mean, because that sounds like you're sort of hailing them, right?
Yeah, so looking at the regulations, a grey area there. So with regulation, so if we look at 2 years ago when this new regulation came into effect, it was based around the Uber model. Effectively, that's what it was. So it was based around how do we regulate a company like Uber, but nothing beyond that. So the few points that they did miss out on were things like, so a booking itself is literally what I've just said. So the first name, pick up and drop off location, and contact number. As long as that's provided before getting into the vehicle, that it's in itself is a booking. So as long as the driver's not the one touting or asking the customer to get into the vehicle, it's a customer that approaches the vehicle itself and provides that information before entering the vehicle itself, then that on its own is a booking.
You're at uni?
Yeah, I am.
What are you studying?
Economics, double major, so economics and accounting.
Okay, and so you still got time to sort of have a life?
Yeah, so I think at university it's quite interesting. So as soon as I got into this project, I started to get involved on the entrepreneurship side of university as well. So first year I started to speak about what entrepreneurship was, so from my story, the element of that, and then I started to back the Sydney Business School competition called Sydney Genesis. So to fuel that sort of movement at university, so we can actually have more entrepreneurs, younger entrepreneurs taking on those bigger companies without having that sort of fee element present.
Have you ever been tempted to drop out of uni? Now I know there's a mythology around so many of the entrepreneurs, whether it's Steve Jobs or Bill Gates or Mark Zuckerberg, that they sort of start uni and then they almost get frustrated with the pace and the rigidity of it, and they're such free spirits and they leave it. I mean, are you sticking with it? What is your attitude into that?
Yeah, so I mean, so this was a 3-year degree. So in the first 2 years I was full time, which is effectively not a lot of days. It was just about 3 days at uni with a few hours spent. This year I've switched to part time. So I mean, as much as I try to stick in there, I think it's just about an attention span. So as soon as I get sick of it, I might just sort of move away. But at this stage, there's a lot around the education element. There's that stigma. I think it is true though that it does lag behind. It is lagging behind. Effectively, where entrepreneurs need a different sort of education, that's where universities sort of fail.
Sure. So I think the best way to learn entrepreneurship is by doing it right.
Doing it right, absolutely.
I think also a useful point for people listening to the podcast, because the Silicon Valley model is coders building their own product and getting some funding. You don't have to be a coder to build a tech business. You do have to understand the lay of the land and understand what the difference between iOS and Android and web and native and non-native and PHP versus Node, and skill yourself up in the lingo and the lay of the land, but you don't actually have to be an engineer yourself, right?
That's right, so that's absolutely right. So I think understanding something is quite important. So you should understand your product in and out, back to front. But being a complete expert at building that product itself from a tech element isn't necessary at this stage.
So what has been your greatest challenge so far as an entrepreneur? Personal or business?
Yeah. I think it would be finding the right people around you. Mm-hmm. So I think surrounding yourself with the right people is probably the biggest challenge you can face. If you look back at the last 5 years that I've been in entrepreneurship, so I think it takes time to develop relationships, to develop that trust. But then there's two ways of going about it. So the first is being resistant, so being a bit fearful and saying, maybe you shouldn't trust everyone that you come across. But the second thing that normally does work for me, which is the second option, which is to trust anyone, give them a chance, and see if that works out or not. So it probably won't work out, but if it does, it's a long-term thing. So.